As we discussed earlier, the evolution of public administration can be divided into 5 phases. Now let us look at the first phase. The first phase is about politics administration dichotomy. The duration is 1887 to 1926. Woodrow Wilson, who is called the father of the public administration, was the first person to set the tone for the early study of public administration in his writing. The title, The Study of Administration, published in 1887. What was the focus of his writing? The focus of his writing was that the politics should be differentiated from administration. For him, both are two distinct areas of study. And he emphasized that the study of public administration is scientific, therefore it requires a special treatment in the social sciences. He said that it is easy to frame the constitution than running the constitution. What he means to say in this is that to run the state, to run a government is more difficult than formulating the policy itself. It implies that the need for administration and its study is very important. That is what he means to say in that. And he said that both are two distinct, and administration should be seen as a business. Therefore, he started giving an identity to the study of public administration. However, the idea of dichotomy between politics and administration has been criticized by others. Forerunner among them is Richard Stillman, who said that Woodrow Wilson is not clear about the distinction between politics and public administration. Stillman says that the activity of public administration is political in nature. Therefore, he says that the politics cannot be separated from public administration. And there is another person who supported the dichotomy. He is Goodnow, who in his book entitled The Politics and Administration in 1900, he said that politics is separate and administration is separate. He argued that politics has to do with the policies or expression of the state will, while the administration has to do with the execution of those policies. Therefore, we see the clear distinction between politics and administration. And he supported the dichotomy view of Woodrow Wilson. During that time, there was a development that took place in America. What was that? America introduced several reforms with regard to civil services in the early 20th century. And in many universities of America, the study of public administration was introduced by establishing departments of public administration. And we also see in the writings of other scholars, for example, L.D. White, who supported that the study of public administration should be separated from the study of politics. He strengthened the notion of the dichotomy of politics and administration. What was his argument? The argument of his book was that politics should not be interfere in the public administration. He said that the public administration is capable of becoming a value-free science in its own sense, and the mission of public administration is economy and efficiency. Therefore, he said that the politics and administration distinction is possible. He goes on to say that the executive aspect of public administration is scientific and also factual, while the study of policy making is related more with the politics aspect. Thus, he says that the study of public administration is very scientific. Therefore, it deserves the treatment of a separate discipline. And in the writings of Woodrow Wilson, Frank Goodnow, L.D. White, we see that the major discussion was on the evolution of public administration with regard to the first phase, politics and administration. Despite the criticism against this dichotomy, this period witnessed the discovery of certain principles of administration which paved the way for the second phase, which deals with the principles of administration. In the first phase, we saw about the distinction between politics and administration. In the second phase, we will see how public administration has been discussed in terms of the principles. And this phase is called the principles of administration phase. The period is 1927 to 1937. In this phase, we see the important works written by Luther Gulick and also Fredericktalas. And their contribution to this phase is enormous. And scholars have made enormous efforts to discover certain scientific principles of administration. To begin with, in 1927, Willoughby published a book titled Principles of Public Administration, in which he argued that in administration there are certain principles of general application analogous to those characterizing any science. He projected the idea that these principles are no lesser than any principles of which are scientific in nature. And we can also see in others' writings where different principles have been proposed. For example, where different principles have been proposed. For example, in Follett's Creative Experience in 1924, Henry Fayle's Industrial and General Management in 1939, James D. Money and Alan C. Rayleigh's Principles of Organization in 1939, we find that there was an attempt to project the public administration in terms of different principles, where they asserted that the study of public administration is no lesser than the study of any scientific disciplines as such. However, the writings of Luther Gulick and Lyndall Urwix made an important contribution to this phase. And this phase is called the golden period for the public administration because of their contribution. What was their writing? The writing was the Papers on the Science of Administration, and it was published in 1937. They argued that there are certain principles in administration which can be inductively arrived at from the study of human organizations. And these principles govern human associations, and they also govern the organizations which are run by the individuals. Therefore, they say that the study of public administration is scientific per se. They came up with an important acronym called POST-GOR. P stands for planning, O stands for organizing, S stands for staffing, D stands for directing, CO stands for coordinating, R stands for reporting, and B stands for budgeting. And in this POST-GOR, they have limited themselves to the administration at a higher level. That was an important criticism raised against them. In this phase, we also have to look at the contribution made by Fredericktalas, where he published a book titled Principles of Scientific Management in 1911. The focus of this book is on the administration at lower level. The focus is more on how to increase efficiency by following different scientific principles, how to extract the work from the workers in an efficient manner. This argument was also not free from the criticism. For instance, Mohit Bhattacharya, he pointed out that the public aspect of public administration is missing in this phase because the Fredericktalas scientific principles merely focused on the efficiency aspect by neglecting the public aspect. The lack of locus has created confusion in the study of public administration in this phase. However, we see certain attempts were made in America to start a association that is called American Society for Public Administration, and which became the nation's primary association of scholars and professionals in public administration. Later, they also sponsored a premier journal that is called Public Administration Review. And to sum up this phase, we see that the second phase of public administration is marked by the conscious efforts to make public administration a profession and a discipline.